Hey everybody, welcome back to the Chaotic Little Book Corner. My name's Acacia. Today I'm going to be doing my January wrap-up. This is the final wrap-up in January. I did a mid-month, which I will link up in the cards if you are interested. I did a lot less reading in the beginning of the month, and then I kind of sped up. So there's a lot of books here. If you're interested in hearing more in-depth thoughts on any of them, let me know in the comments below, and I will do a full in-depth review of them. There are two that I've already done a full in-depth review of, and those will be linked in the cards when I get to those books. So these are in order of least to most enjoyed as always, and I will dive in now. My first book I buddy read with Amanda Center, whose channel I will link in the cards. This is The Professor by Charlotte Bronte. I didn't dislike this book. I just felt it wasn't as strong as Charlotte's other works, and I don't think it was as strong as other books I've read either. So it just didn't feel too impressive to me. I was not left excited or stirred by this book. It didn't leave me feeling any emotions that were really lingering. I just wasn't fully immersed in it, and I really was disappointed. If you like Charlotte Bronte, this is a good book to read to just have an overall feel for her work. If you're not a Charlotte Bronte fan, I would avoid this. There are other Charlotte Brontes that I think are much better and deserve much more praise. Then my partner picked this up for me for Christmas. I saw it on Mercedes' channel. I will link her channel in the cards. This is Awakening by Stevie Davies. This was interesting. It wasn't what I was hoping for. When I'd heard Mercedes speak of it, there was more conversation of potentially having some time in an asylum, which there was, but it wasn't as much time as I would have liked. It was a very creepy book on the terms of two sisters kind of battling it out for the wants of it wasn't really want of power, it was more want of success, and each one was so different than the other and had so much more to offer than the other in different categories of life. But it was a well done book. It was enjoyable. I just wouldn't say it was my favorite thing I've ever read. I honestly would recommend it to people who like that kind of gothic airy feeling, but if you're not a big fan of the gothic, this is really not something to go for. It was simple. It just wasn't what I wanted it to be, and it disappointed me. Then I read Conversations with Friends by Sally Rooney. This is lower on the totem pole for sure for me. I did not love it. I feel bad saying that. So many people obsess about this book and think it's brilliant. I thought it was fine. I thought it was simplistic. I thought it was, I mean, there was layers to it, and there was depth to it, and there was ideas to it that I thought were really interesting. But overall, it just didn't thrill me. I'm still gonna read Normal People just because some people say that if you like one, you might not like the other. But if you love one, you might not love the other. It's a potential that I'll like Normal People. I wasn't thrilled by this though. It just left me feeling meh. Just meh. It wasn't really anything that would leave me wanting more. I'm gonna keep it on my shelf for now, but we'll see if it makes it in the long run until, you know, time will tell. Then I read and reviewed Trump Sky Alpha. I will link the review up in the cards. This is a apocalyptic novel that takes place in a world where the president has brought nuclear war on the country, and we are kind of watching it fall apart from the perspective of a journalist who is interacting with the meme culture and the Twitter culture and seeing what the world looks like now after a crisis has occurred. I really enjoyed it. I would definitely recommend it to those of you who like the more dystopian and apocalyptic fiction. It was a lot of fun and easy to read, and my, again, review will be linked up in the cards a little earlier on in this segment. Another book that I will link in the cards for a review that I have already done, this is the Atlas of Reds and Blues by DVS Larsker. This was sent sent to me for review by Counterpoint Press. Atlas, Trump Atlas Sky was sent to me by Grey Wolf Press. Both of them have been wonderful, and I'm so excited to have worked with them. I'm really happy about it. This was a story of a woman who moves her family to the suburbs of Atlanta, and police break into her home and she is shot, and the story continues from there. I enjoyed it. I definitely would say it's something to look into. It left me feeling really uncomfortable and really shocked, and I would say that for the most part I was left thinking of the world in a different way. So I appreciate this book. Beartown by Frederick Bachman. This was good, solid. I don't know if I'm going to read any other Frederick Bachman except for the sequel to this book. I don't think that his more lighthearted and twee sort of books are going to be my type of thing. The writing didn't floor me, but the subject matter in this worked really well. It's the story of a young girl who accuses a man of rape, and he is the big star in the town hockey team, which they believe is going to lead them to glory as a town, and so people are really torn between believing her and holding him accountable and also thinking her a liar. It was really well done. It was a lot of interesting insight into the thoughts of a person when a accusation is made towards somebody who is more of power and more popular. So I enjoyed it, and I definitely will pick up the sequel when it comes out in paperback. I'm not going to rush to it for now. It's just not high on my priority list. Pretty Girls by Karen Slaughter. This was a recommendation by April. I will link her channel up in the cards. This was good. It was a solid read. I read it in a couple of sittings. It is a story of Claire and Lydia, who last spoke when they were younger, and they are sisters. One of them is a successful wife of a very wealthy man, and one of them is a single mother dating a con. The two of them come back together after the wealthy man is killed, and they believe that there is a connection between that and their missing sister when they were young. It was really good, really interesting, gritty though, really gruesome. I would definitely say this has trigger warnings. It is intense. It left me feeling really uneasy, and I liked it, but definitely a lot. This is Tweak, Growing Up on Methamphetamines. This is by Nick Schiff. This is the story of the son's side of the story while being on drugs. It's the memoir that the movie Beautiful Boy is based on. I am going to read his father's side of the story very soon, or I'm actually in the center of it right now. So it's really interesting. It was well done. I liked it quite a bit. I read the comments, and a lot of people were very judgmental about him getting this book published because of who his father was and because of the fact that he was a white, wealthy boy and his issues weren't as big and blah, 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 blah. I find that really offensive. I am not of the mindset that if a person is wealthy, their problems aren't as big and that they're privileged to get into an addiction situation. It was really sad to think that anyone would think that his addiction was a privilege rather than an illness. But I really enjoyed it, and I think it's a really good read. I solidly recommend this. It's sad, though, and it's definitely hard to get through, but I did enjoy it. Then we have Call Me Eevee. This is by J.P. Palmer. And it's on sale $3/5/19. I cannot review this yet, but I did read it. I've made a deal with the publisher that I will not review it until it's closer to the date, so there will be a review of it the day it releases. So stay tuned. Then we have Tender by Belinda McKinnon. This is the story of Catherine and James. Catherine is a young girl who is going into college, and James is a artist who is gay, growing up in 1990s Ireland. It was really interesting. It was hard to read. There were some points at which I was just really sad, and it felt very uncomfortable to be in the midst of it. But I would recommend it overall. I was recommended this by Mercedes, and I definitely would recommend it to people. This was fabulous. This is a little book. This is Sylvia Plath, Merry Venture and the Ninth Kingdom. This is 40 pages. It's totally worth it. I don't want to spoil anything. It's just epic. If you like Sylvia Plath, read it. Then we have The Reckonings by Lacey M. Johnson. I'm going to read her other memoir, or her memoir. This is an essay collection. I'm going to read her memoir about the fact that she was abducted and assaulted by her boyfriend at the time, and see a little bit more about it. This is her thoughts on mercy and justice and the industry of holding people accountable for their mistakes. And what she wishes would happen to her attacker. I really felt for this book. I really loved it. I thought it was really wonderful, and I definitely would recommend it to those of you who have been through something that might have put you through the system of having somebody be held accountable for harming you, and looking at it from a different perspective of justice. This was a short one, McGlue by Otesha Moshfik. This was great. I would follow her anywhere. This is about a man named McGlue who wakes up drunk and is being accused of murdering his best friend, and it's following that story. I really don't want to give too much away because it's so short, but I definitely would recommend this. It was a lot of fun, and it was interesting to read Otesha Moshfik right from a male perspective. So, good time. This is going to get its own full in-depth review. This is Juliet the Maniac by Juliet Escaria. This is coming out in May 2019, so you'll have to wait for the full in-depth review. But in general, I will tell you this is the story of a young girl with bipolar disorder. I loved it. I thought it was great. I absolutely would recommend this to you if you're interested in reading about people with bipolar disorder as a fictional depiction. I thought it was really accurate and well done. The infrastructure of the story was really well written, and it was quite enjoyable. The chapters were really short, everything was really concise, and I definitely had a really good experience reading this and would recommend it highly. Then the last book that I have is this. This is You Know You Want This, and it is by Kristen Robitan. This has the story Cat Person in it, which was a phenomenon, I guess would be the right word. It was a big internet sensation, I guess is the right way to put it. So I read Cat Person first, which is in the middle of the collection, and then I went back and read the whole stories, all the stories in the correct order, including Cat Person a second time. I thought this story collection was wonderful. It was dark, it was twisted, it was interesting, it had a lot of intense feelings and a lot of sexual deviance. It was really intense, really emotional, and really raw. As a feminist, I found it astounding and really real. So I would definitely recommend this one. So those are all the books that I read in the second half of January. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I would love to say thank you to my Patreons who have been nothing but supportive of me. And then I would also like to let you guys know I would love to see you in the comments. That was kind of a weird way of saying it, but it's fine. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you loved it, click that subscribe button down below. I will see you all in my next video, and I'll talk to you then. Bye!